It all began on a rainy afternoon, when the sky poured like it too had secrets to tell. In the middle of that storm stood Anya, her dupatta clinging to her shoulders, her eyes searching through the crowd at the railway station. She wasn't just waiting for a train, she was waiting for a sign. That moment, unknowingly, became the beginning of a love story that would challenge time, traditions, and even fate itself. A thread bound by heart. The eternal bond of love isn't just a tightly, it's the soul of this journey. A journey where hearts speak louder than words, where silence carries emotions too deep to explain, and where love isn't always easy, but always worth it. Anya was a quiet, thoughtful girl from Jaipur, raised with deep-rooted values and an unshakable belief in love. She believed that if a bond is meant to be, it would survive storms, silence, and distance. Her world was small but full of color, dreams, and simplicity. On the other side was Vihanu, a sharp, charming boy from Delhi, full of ambition, laughter, and a restlessness that came from never truly feeling at home. He didn't believe in destiny, he believed in choices. But what happens when someone who doesn't believe in fate meets someone who lives by it? Their worlds collided not in a perfect romantic setting, but in a moment of confusion and chaos. One missed train, one shared cab, and one long ride filled with arguments, unexpected laughter, and awkward silences. It wasn't love at first sight, but something about that ride stayed with both of them. Something subtle, something unfinished. As their paths continued to cross by coincidence, or maybe something more, they started to feel that invisible thread tying them together. But love is never just about two people. Families, expectations, and past wounds always find their way into the present. Anya's family had someone else in mind for her. Vihan's career was pulling him abroad. The more they were drawn to each other, the more the world seemed to push them apart. And just when everything seemed to be falling into place, a truth from Vihan's past came to light. A truth that could change everything Anya believed about Hema and about love itself. In this story, love isn't always soft and poetic. Sometimes it's messy, uncertain, and full of questions. But it's real. As Anya stands at yet another crossroads, with a letter in her hand and tears in her eyes, one question echoes in her mind: can a thread truly bound by heart ever break? Before we move ahead, take a deep breath, because this is just the beginning. What comes next will test not just Anya and Vihan's bond, but everything they thought they knew about love, life, and each other. Stay with us, because some stories aren't just told, they're felt. And this one might just remind you of your own. The letter in Anya's hand felt heavier than it should have. The ink had faded slightly, like the words had been written in a rush, but what they said was clear. Vihan had a past, one he never spoke about, not even when they sat for hours sharing childhood memories, laughing over silly fears and old songs. She kept reading the same line again and again, hoping it would change, hoping this was some misunderstanding. But deep inside, she knew something had been hidden. And now, it was out. 3 months ago, Vihan had entered her life like an unexpected monsoon. Loud, full of life, a little arrogant, but strangely comforting. He wasn't the kind of man she had imagined herself falling for. And yet, he was the only one who ever made her question what it meant to truly love. With him, everything was different. The world didn't feel so narrow. She laughed louder, breathed deeper. But even then, in all the warmth and laughter, there were small moments when he would go quiet, his eyes distant, like he was somewhere else. She had brushed it off then. Maybe she shouldn't have. Vihan, meanwhile, was fighting a storm of his own. He had never believed in second chances, not until Anya came into his life. Her belief in small things, her habit of writing notes to herself, her silent strength, all that chipped away at the walls he'd built around himself. But love, to him, was dangerous. He had seen what it could destroy. There was a reason he never let anyone in too close, a reason he had promised himself never to fall again. But he did, slowly, deeply, and without warning. And now, the past he buried was rising like a tide. The letter Anya had, it wasn't meant for her. It wasn't meant for anyone. And now that she had read it, nothing could go back to how it was. Her heart wanted to trust him, but her mind was caught in a whirlwind of doubt. Did he lie, or did he simply never find the courage to tell her the truth? And if he could hide something so big, what else was he keeping from her? Their story, which had felt so real and pure, now stood on shaky ground. One thread tugged too tight, one secret too heavy. And as Anya looked up at the sky, the clouds still grey and unmoving, she knew this wasn't the end, but it might just be the beginning of a truth she wasn't ready for. Anya couldn't sleep that night. The rain had stopped, but inside her, a storm raged quietly. She sat on her bedroom floor, surrounded by scattered memories of photos, old messages, little things Vihan had given her. Each one felt different now, touched by doubt. The letter had mentioned a name, Ianati, a name Vihan had never said, not once. Who was she? Why did the letter say he owed her a debt that could never be repaid? In Delhi, Vihan sat alone in his car outside a quiet cafe copyright they used to visit. He had come here hoping to clear his mind, but memories hit him harder than silence. He wanted to call her 100 times. He picked up the phone, and 100 times he kept it down. How do you explain a truth you've buried so deep, even you're scared of it? As Vihan's truth lingered in shadows, another subplot unfolded quietly. Anya's cousin, Ria, had always been protective of her. She had warned her once about falling too fast. Now, after seeing Anya so shaken, Ria started digging. She reached out to an old friend from Vihan's college days. What she heard didn't answer anything, or it only raised more questions. There had been rumors of a failed engagement, a sudden disappearance. Some said it ended tragically, others said Vihan walked away without a word. Back in Jaipur, Anya's parents began noticing her distance. Her father, who had once liked Vihan's confident nature, now watched silently, wondering if his daughter had made a mistake trusting someone from a world so different from hers. Every thread in this story was tightening. Anya stood at the center, pulled by love, shaken by betrayal, and surrounded by whispers. And as morning light crept in, one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The festival of Tej had arrived in Jaipur, filling the air with colors, music, and the scent of jasmine. But for Anya, everything felt distant. The laughter around her, the lights hanging from balconies, even the traditional songs her mother hummed while preparing sweets, all that blurred under the weight of what she still didn't know. The letter sat locked in her drawer, yet its words echoed louder each day. Vihan hadn't called, not once, and she hadn't either. It wasn't pride, it was fear, a fear of what she might hear. Meanwhile in Delhi, Vihan stood at the edge of a choice he couldn't delay anymore. The past he'd hidden was no longer something he could outrun. He still remembered that night with Nati, the silence in the hospital corridor, the ring in his pocket he never got to give her. He had tried to move on, to start over. But maybe starting over without facing the past was the biggest lie he had told himself. And now, he was about to lose the only person who made him want to be honest again. At the same time, Ria had found something, an old photo online. It showed Vihan and Nati, smiling, hands entwined. The caption read, "Forever, no matter what." She didn't know what it meant, but she knew Anya had to see it. That night, Anya stared at the photo, her hands trembling. It wasn't just the picture. It was the feeling of not knowing what had ended that forever, and why Vihan had never spoken of it. Then, a message flashed on her phone. Unknown number. Just a single line. "Meet me at the place we first argued. 7 p.m. please." Her breath caught. The clock ticked louder, and time, for a moment, stood still. Anya stared at the message until the screen went dark. Her heart was racing, unsure if it was from fear, hope, or something in between. That spot where they first argued wasn't just a random memory. It was the place where something had shifted between them. And now, he was calling her back to it. The hour crept toward 7, and with each passing minute, her doubts grew louder. What was he going to say? Why now, after weeks of silence? She arrived just before sunset. The street was quieter than she remembered, washed in the soft gold of evening light. A rickshaw passed slowly. Somewhere nearby, temple bells rang. And then she saw Hema Vihan, standing under the tree where they'd once fought over a cab, hands deep in his pockets, eyes fixed on the ground. But what caught her off guard wasn't Hema, it was the woman beside him. She was tall, graceful, dressed in a pale blue cutter, and she looked familiar. Anya's steps froze midway. It wasn't just any woman. It was Nati. The name, the photo, the unanswered questions, everything collided in that one moment. Vihan turned, his face tightening when he saw her. Anya's eyes didn't leave his. She felt betrayed all over again. But before she could speak, Nati stepped forward. "I asked him to call you," Nati said softly. "I thought you deserved the truth from both of us." The ground beneath Anya felt unsteady. The truth? From both of them? Why was she here? Weren't they over? Had they ever really been? Vihan finally spoke. "There's more you need to know, Anya. Things I should have told you from the start. I didn't because I was afraid of losing you." The tension crackled in the air. Anya's chest felt tight. Her voice, when it came, was barely a whisper. "Then tell me." Now. Nati looked down, and Vihan took a slow breath. "Nati was never just someone from my past. What happened between us didn't end the way everyone thinks it did." Before he could finish, Nati interrupted, her voice trembling. "We never ended, Anya." "Not really. And that's why you need to hear everything, because Vihan isn't the only one with secrets." The silence that followed was unbearable. The love story that had once seemed simple was now tangled in a web of buried emotions and half-told truths. And just like that, everything Anya thought she knew was about to change. Anya stood frozen as the words hung heavy in the air. Her mind raced to keep up how Vihan and Nati had never really ended. What did that mean? Her eyes flicked between the two, trying to read their faces. Vihan stepped closer, voice low and careful, as if the truth might shatter everything between them. "I was supposed to marry Nati," he said, finally. "But just days before the wedding, she disappeared. No one knew where she went. She left a note saying she couldn't go through with it. I was heartbroken, embarrassed. And I left everything behind: my home, my friends, even the city, for a fresh start." Anya felt the knot in her chest twist tighter. "So why is she here now?" Nati's eyes welled up. "Because I was forced to leave," she said quietly. "My family, there were threats, pressure, things I couldn't fight alone. I thought staying away would keep Vihan safe." Vihan looked down. "I believed she chose to leave me. I carried that anger, that pain, for years. And then I met you. You helped me let go, Anya. I didn't know Nati was alive until last week." Anya's breath caught. "You saw her a broken bar before you told me?" Vihan nodded slowly. She came back suddenly. She wanted to explain. "I didn't want to hurt you, Anya, but I couldn't lie anymore. I brought you here tonight because I couldn't move forward without facing the truth with both of you." Everything inside Anya felt like it was collapsing. She had imagined so many endings, but not this one. Not a love triangle filled with unfinished promises and broken timelines. She turned to leave, her eyes brimming, but then Nati spoke again. "There's something else. I'm not here to get Vihan back. I'm already married. I came back only to free both of us from the silence. I want you to know, Anya, he never stopped searching for meaning after me. And with you, I see he's found it." Anya stopped. The air shifted. Vihan looked stunned. "You're married?" Nati smiled, tears falling. "Yes. And it's time you stop carrying the weight of our story. Live yours." As Nati walked away, Anya turned back to Vihan. Everything was quiet. The past had let go. But just as Vihan reached for her hand, Anya stepped back. "I need time," she said. "Love bound us. But rather broken bar, that's what sets us free." And with that, she walked into the night, leaving Vihan to wonder if the thread still held, or had finally snapped. Days passed, then weeks. The silence between Anya and Vihan stretched longer than either of them expected. But this time, it wasn't filled with anger or confusion. It was filled with space. The kind of space that allows old pain to settle, and a new understanding to grow. Anya went back to her routine, teaching dance classes and spending quiet evenings with her parents. She didn't try to erase Vihan from her life, but she didn't rush back either. For the first time, she was learning to listen to her own heart without the noise of expectations. Vihan, on the other hand, stayed back in Jaipur for a while. He didn't call, didn't push. Instead, he began writing again, something he hadn't done since his college days. Words helped him make sense of what had happened with Nati, with Anya, and most of all, within himself. He realized love wasn't about chasing someone, or fixing what had broken. It was about becoming whole on your own. So when you offer your heart, it's not from emptiness, but from truth. Ria, ever the voice of reason, sat beside Anya one evening and said softly, "Sometimes the right person shows up at the wrong time. But if the connection is real, time will find its way." It wasn't dramatic, the way Anya and Vihan saw each other again. It was at a quiet book cafe copyright. Weeks later, she walked in, and he was there, already halfway through his coffee. Their eyes met. No music, no sudden gasp, but just a small, real smile. He stood up, unsure of what to say. But she spoke first. "I read your blog," she said gently. "You write differently now. It feels a broken bar honest." Vihan nodded. "I'm learning to live honestly, one word at a time." They didn't talk about the past that day. They didn't need to. Instead, they spoke about books, places they wanted to visit, and things they were afraid of. And when they said goodbye, it wasn't heavy. It felt like a beginning, soft and steady. Some stories don't end with dramatic declarations or perfect closures. Some end quietly, with understanding, peace, and the possibility of something more. A thread bound by heart wasn't about perfection. It was about two imperfect people finding clarity, even if it took a storm to get there. And sometimes, that's exactly how real love begins again.